So I'm back here with Henry Tomlinson. We're talking about the football. We previewed the bottom three last time round, Henry. So that was Norwich even, Villa and Bournemouth. Now we've got Watford, we've got West Ham and Brighton. Let's start off with West Ham. I know you're a West Ham United fan. They've looked doomed a few times before, haven't they? And they've got some really good strikers as well, haven't they? And it just hasn't worked for them, has it, for most of the season?
West Ham, very strange team. We do well when the team seems to be weak, and then once there's sort of optimism around the club, such as spending £45 million on a striker, £40 million on a winger in Haller and Anderson, that's when we struggle. But we've got a few tough games coming up when football fighting does return. So we've got, I think it's United, Tottenham and Chelsea are in our run-in, but we also play a lot of teams around us. We've got games against Norwich, Watford and Villa. So those are sort of the key games for us to focus on. They're going to be 6-point relegation battles.
Last game being against Villa at home, and that could be the game, couldn't it?
It could all come down to the last day,
yeah. Whether
it's us and Villa basically in a shootout against each other.
Yeah. So where did it all go wrong for West Ham then? Because they got the striker Haller looked pretty good, but he's a bit like Brighton. We've had Lacardia that didn't really come off. So where's it all go wrong with that, especially with that price tag?
He's a very good striker. At Frankfurt, he had an amazing season, which is what inspired us to get him. He was playing up top with Luka Jovic, who ends up at Real Madrid. So that's probably one clue of comparing who he's playing with now. But I think one of the biggest issues is the system hasn't suited him. He's been playing as a lone striker, but his whole career he's had a second striker or people very close to him to play off him. And our best games this season has been when Antonio's been fit and he's been placed as a second striker straight off him, or since the signing of Jarrod Bowen and him taking that role. And then also we've looked at a different side. I think when we took on Chelsea, that's how we won our game there. When we played Southampton away, that's how we won that game there, because the link-up play was so much better and there was a much clearer direct football, which was really working. What's gone wrong this season was massively, because we started really well, but what went wrong was the injury to Lucas Fabianski, and we didn't have a suitable backup. We had Roberto come into goal, who was a free transfer from Olympiacos, and he basically had an appalling run of games. Some of the goals that went in with
against at West Ham against Brighton, there was a mix-up, wasn't it, with defending and a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I think that was one of Fabianski's first games back. Yeah. But that sort of goes more back to our left-back situation of Masuaku firing the ball into the middle of the pitch and then a miscommunication. But before the injury of Fabianski, we were sort of looking like we were going to finally sort of be pushing the top 8 and competing to try and get some form of European football for next season. But after the injury, our form took a massive hit and we lost a game in the League Cup to Oxford United 4-0. And that's where Pellegrini's time started to fall apart because we didn't have a suitable goalkeeper. The team lost all confidence. And David Moyes has been brought in to sort of try build that back up, which I think he's slowly starting to do. I think a lot of fans are starting to warm to him again, because I know there was a lot of negative reaction about us rehiring him as if we're going back and not looking forward. A lot of fans wanted another big name manager. Like I think Niko Kovac was one a lot of fans wanted, the ex-Bayern Munich manager, because he was currently unemployed. He managed Frankfurt, Haller's old team. So there sort of seemed to be a lot of sense of trying to get him as Frankfurt, where he made his name.
Not Sam Allardyce.
No, I think I think West Ham fans have gone past Sam Allardyce now. Yeah. But Kovac at Frankfurt, which is a similar sort of traditional football club like West Ham. So that's sort of where I think a lot of fans wanted him. But we ended up with David Moyes. We've looked better, but we've also looked stale in some matches. Yeah. I do think we will sort of beat the drop, but it will be very tight.
Yeah, and it could come down to Villa then. So that's West Ham then. What about, we'll save Brighton till last, so let's go to Watford. It looked like they were down, but they've been rejuvenated really, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had a bit of a...
Under Pearson.
Yeah, they've had a bit of a miracle. They started the season horrifically, really, under... I can't remember his name.
Garcia.
Garcia.
Yeah.
And when one of my friends is a very big Watford fan, and I remember I was at the pub with him on the night that they appointed Pearson. He was like, "That's that. we're down. And now he's the saviour because he's managed to make them a competitive side again.
They're a good side, aren't they?
And they've got some fantastic players
Really
like Deulofeu,
good
Decore, Deeney, Andre Gray. They're all really good players that should be playing in the Premier League regularly.
I think they've got the strongest side probably in that bottom 6, I would say. Really. At least they got the most chance of staying up, I would say, based on what they can produce or what they were producing before the season.
I'd argue on paper West Ham's squad is stronger than Watford's. I think Watford lack depth, and I think that's what sort of killed them. When they lose a player to injury, it sort of shatters the whole team kind of thing. Yeah. So that's why it took a while for Ismail Sarr to really start kicking on. So when he wasn't performing at the start, that's when they looked weak. But now he starts to perform, and they beat Liverpool 3-0 because they have their strongest team back.
Yeah.
But one of their issues could be the loss of Troy Deeney once football returns, because I'm not sure if he knows if he's going to come back with it yet. And if they lose their captain...
He's not training, is he?
He's not training.
He's probably not going to start the first game.
Yeah,
two
so
games.
He could be lacking fitness because he's not been training. His mind not be in it because he's worried about his son, who's vulnerable to the disease. So the team going into the dogfight without their leader and their captain could really affect their chances. Yeah. And I think that almost makes them more likely for the drop than a team like Bournemouth or even Villa, I think, could maybe catch up with them if they suffer that loss hugely.
They've got a good goalkeeper as well, Watford, haven't they? So
Ben Foster's a fantastic keeper.
So probably the best goalkeeper in the bottom. Well, I think Matty Ryan for the Albion, probably the best 2 goalkeepers in the bottom 6, I would say. So Brighton, what's? I mean, we were drawing a lot, the Albion, before the season came to that suspension due to the coronavirus outbreak. So where do you think Brighton are going to be?
I'm amazed to see where Brighton are. Like, whenever I've watched them this season, I've been so impressed. I go back to the game where they beat Spurs 3-0, and Aaron Connolly, he was everywhere. They had and Alzati, like the 2 youngsters, they were brilliant, and I couldn't understand why they were so low down on the table, because when they played to their best, players like Aaron Moy really step up. Aaron Connolly, as I said, they've got such a good team to play good, attractive football, which is exactly why Graham Potter was brought in. They've just not been able to convert these draws into wins, and that's what's led to them being in this place, down in the bottom of the table. I hope they do stay up because they play really nice football. And I know they've got a difficult run in. They've got City, United, Chelsea, and Arsenal.
Last 3 games are looking winnable. So we've got Southampton away, and then we've got Newcastle at home, and then we've got Burnley away. So it could all hinge on the Burnley, but Burnley are pretty safe. Southampton are quite safe, and even Newcastle, really. Those 3 teams I don't see going down, but I don't see them doing anything either. So
yeah, so Brighton could really sort of take advantage of...
I think they could do the last 3 games, yeah.
Yeah, because I think from Brighton's perspective, they might be hoping those teams will take their foot off the pedal, they're safe, they sort of want to play their games, get the season over with. That will probably be their attitude, so they're not sort of behind closed doors, playing during a pandemic. So Brighton, if they go at those games with a competitive, we've got to stay up, we've got to fight for our lives, then they could easily pick up 9 points from those games. And they're at 29 points at the moment, so that would put them on 38 off just those last games. So if they pick up a couple of draws, they'll hit 40 points, and that should probably be enough for the season.
We're putting Brighton safe?
I hope so.
Yeah. So what would you... So last time you said it would be Norwich and then and Villa. So what was that last place, do you think? Who's it going to be?
I mean, so Watford, Bournemouth and West Ham, they're all on the same points, just separated by goal difference, all on 27 points.
Yeah.
I think West Ham, they've got a lot of quality in the squad. Like players like Felipe Anderson, Haller, Bowen, Mikel Antonio, Mark Noble, Declan Rice, future England star. Like, they've got a very, very, very good team. And there could be a case of too good to go down. But last time we said this, it seems to always be the way West Ham are the team that goes down when they were too good to go down. But hopefully that doesn't happen this season. So I think it will come down to Bournemouth and Watford taking that last spot.
Okay.
And I really think the loss of Troy Deeney, if he doesn't come back, could really, really harm Watford. And I think with the players Bournemouth are getting back, they look stronger. They're stronger than when before they went in, and Watford could potentially be weaker. So I think Bournemouth might stay up above Watford.
Okay, there you go. Heard it here first. So Norwich, Villa and Watford, we'll hold you to that as the season progresses. So we'll catch up again soon, Henry, see how the season ends when it does start up again. Thanks.
Thank you.